Hey everybody, the Long Shot Signatures here. We are less than 2 weeks away from the 2023 NFL Draft that starts Thursday, April 27th, goes on until Saturday, April 29th. And I am going to be looking at Draft Tech's website to look at all the different prospects that I have been able to get autographs from the past couple of years. This is the second year that I have been sending to non-quarterbacks as well, and that has opened up a lot of opportunities to get guys who could potentially get drafted. So we're going to go over 21 different prospects that are declared for the 2023 NFL Draft. I do have other players that have announced that they will be transferring schools, retiring from football, and returning to college for another season. Those guys won't be discussed. We're only going to talk about the eligible prospects. And we're going to be talking about all the ones that I have, because this first guy is the 505th ranked prospect going into this draft. So the odds are not looking great for him, but I didn't collect him for the reason of the draft. But this is wide receiver from Pitt, Jared Wayne. I was having a pretty good streak with Pitt players, including Kenny Pickett and another player that you'll see later on in this video. So I was looking up to see who their top players were, and I think he was the number 2 wide receiver a couple years ago. Sent to him. He just had his best season, his only 1,000-yard season in college football, but obviously that's not enough to push him up too high. He'll probably be an undrafted free agent come the draft. Then kind of a surprising dip with this next prospect. He's the 391st ranked player, tight end out of Baylor, Ben Sims. Now, he wasn't considered a top tight end prospect in a rather heavy tight end draft this year, top loaded. But it was looking like he could be a late round steal for a team. 391 is not a death sentence, but he's probably another guy that'll end up undrafted unless the team really feels like they can develop him over the next few years. Coming in at 344, this is running back from Kansas State, Deuce Vaughn. This took over a year to get back, but this guy is a production machine. That might raise some question marks about his durability going forward, but fun player to watch. Very, very talented. There's just not a lot going for running backs in this day and age, especially when it comes to draft value. Then the 338th ranked prospect, we have cornerback out of Indiana, Tywan Mullen. He was ranked higher earlier in the season. Didn't really see too much from him. Had a rather quiet career. So probably another undrafted guy or a 7th round flyer. Then we have the 320th ranked prospect according to drafttech.com. This is a center from Oregon, Alex Forsyth. Another guy who was looking like he could be a late round pick for a team. Not sure if he'll make it, but still pretty cool to get that one back. This guy is right on the verge of being in the draftable ranking area. There's I don't know exactly how many picks there are this year. They've changed the rules so many times, but it's somewhere around 260. This guy's the 279th ranked prospect, safety from Memphis, Quindell Johnson. Quindell was really cool. He also sent me a t-shirt. It's a little bit too small for me, but very, very cool of him to do that. And he was one of the first successes I had this year when sending the players. Now we're going to get into the players that are being ranked in the draftable area, which means they should have a pretty good shot of making it. It's not a guarantee by any means, but this one's really cool. This is quarterback from Purdue, Aiden O'Connell. At one point during the season, he was being considered a first-round talent. His production at Purdue was pretty good. Obviously, his connection with Charlie Jones, I believe is his name, looks really, really good on both of them. They really elevated each other's play this season, as well as his resilience playing after losing his brother in the Big Ten championship. They ultimately lost that game, but he played his heart out on the field. Could be a late round backup development player, but it's yeah, I'm not exactly sure where the first round grades were coming from, but still really cool to get that guy for the Purdue PC regardless. Then we have the 175th ranked prospect. This is the guard from USC, Andrew Voorhees. He was ranked higher, like a lot of these players, has fell down a little bit, but draft tech's rankings don't necessarily mean everything. This is based off of purely what they believe to be value, not where they might fall in the draft. So a lot of these guys are going to bounce around from their ranking positions. We have another quarterback here. He's the 160th ranked player. Got him after Zach Wilson left BYU. This is their quarterback, Jaron Hall, who signed the back of the photo. Hall has been pretty exciting to watch over the past couple years, and he has had some injury concerns, but when he's out on the field, he's a good thrower, good mobility, so that was really cool to see him be on these draft ranking lists. Next is the 145th ranked prospect, linebacker out of Wisconsin, Nick Herbig. I want to say his brother plays in the NFL and has played for a while there. Wisconsin, while they didn't really perform that well this season, does a really good job of churning out NFL prospects. Next one is, this guy could really go anywhere. The situation is more of what drops his ranking, but the 123rd ranked prospect is defensive edge player from Army, Andre Carter. Again, this was a guy that was considered a late first round to early second round prospect, but because of a new law that is enacted or could be enacted, I still don't know what the situation on that is, he would not be able to receive a waiver to forego his military service to play professional sports, and so that really dropped his ranking there. As of now, he is still declared for the draft, so I don't know if he is eligible to be drafted and then would have to serve for 2 years and then come back. You see that happen sometimes with NHL players. They're still contractually obligated to like a certain team in Europe or in Asia, so they can get drafted, and the teams know that they will not be able to have that player for at least 1 or 2 seasons. But this is a completely different thing regarding military service, so not sure how that is going to play. How that is going to play out. Then we have the 77th ranked prospect. This is offensive lineman Blake Freeland from BYU. He also was cool enough on the other photo that I sent to have teammate Connor Pay sign that as well. I don't believe Connor Pay is draft eligible or entered into the draft. Then we have the next best prospect according to drafttech.com. This is tight end from Iowa, Sam Laporta. Maybe not the biggest name in this year's draft class. Sometimes the 76th ranked player would be the best tight end, but there are just quite a few good ones this year. But Iowa has been known to be a tight end factory recently, and Laporta on a rather abysmal Iowa offense was one of the highlights. Then we have the 54th ranked prospect, defensive end from LSU, BJ Ojulari. His brother Aziz is in the NFL. I think he still plays for the New York Giants. We have another Wisconsin player here, another Wisconsin defenseman, defensive tackle, ranked 51st by Draft Tech, Keanu Benton. This guy should be a second round pick. Then we have, I think he's now the second best ranked safety, but for most of the year he was the number 1 safety coming into the draft. From Texas A&M, ranked 42nd overall, Antonio Johnson. This guy had a very productive career at Texas A&M, pretty hard-hitting player. Then we have some first-round grades on these guys. First one is wide receiver from USC, formerly of Pitt, Jordan Addison. Addison had a heck of a year in Kenny Pickett's final season at Pitt, as well as his final season at Pitt. Winning the Biletnikoff Award, he transferred to USC in a rather controversial move because it was known that he could make a lot more money playing in Southern California than he would in Pittsburgh. Injuries limited his production this year. He still looks to be a pretty good player. Little bit undersized. Some teams are worried about that, but this guy is a heck of a player. No longer the number one ranked wide receiver. I think he's the third, but they still have a late first round grade on him. Next prospect on the list is 27th overall. This is I think he's the number 2 tight end going into this draft from Utah, Dalton Kincaid. His name wasn't super high up there early in the season, but he was definitely considered one of the better tight ends in the draft. He was very, very productive at Utah this year, and everything has just been pointing to him being a first-round talent. This next one that we have is the number 1 tight end coming into the draft. I wasn't able to get him TTM. I did try him a few years ago, but I did pull an autograph of his out of Onyx Vintage College Football. There wasn't very much going for that brand, except they had some really good autographs in there. This is the 17th ranked player, tight end from Notre Dame, Michael Mayer. So certified autographed there. Looks really, really nice on the card. Even in his first season playing for Notre Dame, it was known that this guy was going to be quite a player, quite a strong tight end, great catch radius, fairly quick. So it's not surprising to see him be ranked as high as he is. And then we're going to end off with 2 quarterback prospects, one that I agree with, one that I very much disagree with the ranking. But the 5th best ranked prospect according to drafttech.com, this is quarterback out of Florida, Anthony Richardson. I think Anthony Richardson is a fantastic athlete. I don't see him being a great quarterback at the start. Now, it all depends really on situation. That's the story with every quarterback. Where he ends up getting drafted and how much they rush him versus how much they develop him is really going to be what tells us how he'll end up in the NFL. But I feel like his production this year reminds me a lot of Malik Willis last year, where going in, it was like, hey, this guy could be really good if he can put it all together. He does for a few games, but overall did not look good in the season. And I don't know if his agent is doing a really good job at hyping him up, but I just don't see him being worth that high of a pick, being a top 3, top 5 pick. Take him later in the first round, take him in the second or third round, develop him, don't rush him, because he's got a lot of physical tools, but he just didn't look like he knew how to read a defense this past season, and I just don't see that changing that quickly. Again, really happy to have him in the collection. I do hope he gets drafted and gets put into a good situation, has a long career. I'm not buying in on the hype for him right now. But this guy I am. He's a proven player. This was an autograph that I pulled out of Bowman University, I think 2022, and very much made it worth it for all the money that I spent on these cards. But the 3rd best ranked prospect, the number 2 quarterback, according to drafttech.com, quarterback from Alabama, Bryce Young. So Young is a former Heisman winner, played for Alabama, who has now really become kind of a QB school a little bit after a long time being more of a running back and any other position kind of school. Young is a little bit undersized coming into the NFL, but his playmaking ability, his athleticism, his arm, his decision-making is, what you want in a prospect. Does he necessarily have to be, the day 1 starter? No. There's obviously going to be some adjustment coming into the NFL, the speed, reading much more complex defenses, and, bulking up a little bit. He needs to get a little bit stronger just to protect himself at the next level. But at the end of the day, this guy is one of the more complete players coming into the draft. He's going to go in the top 3. It just depends on, how the trades work out and, who does go number one. There's talks that he could go number one to Carolina if they don't trade out of that spot. He could go number two to the Texans. For some reason, he might slip to number three. The Cardinals could trade out of that spot, and another team could jump up and grab him. But at the end of the day, I think whoever picks him up is going to be getting a good player. Hopefully, again, it's the best situation possible for him. As for any of these players, but I think he's going to be probably the most NFL ready of all the players that you guys have seen here today. But that is it for this one. Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. Let me know how many of these players you think might get drafted. Did you write to any of the guys and get some names that I didn't get this year? I wasn't able to write to as many as I would have liked. I did start working again in November, so after that I pretty much had to stop sending to prospects, but got a bunch this year. I still have quite a few that should be eligible for next year, and I will keep writing to them. But that is it for this one. Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. Helps me out a lot. Best luck with your guys' collecting. Take care.